Hello, everyone. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are watching God, Sex, and Love. Tonight, we are chatting with author Xavia Jones. So, if you're ready to learn more about her, then stay tuned.
You see what I'm about. Not hard to figure out that I'm not the type of girl that goes around. Cause I won't go there, so be aware, yeah.
Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love. I am here with the lovely Miss Xavia Jones. How are you?
Hi. Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome to God, Sex, and Love.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here today.
Yes, me too. I'm excited to have you here as well. I hear that you are an author and everything like that, so I have to learn more about you and what you have going on.
Well, yes, I'm an author. I started writing. Writing has been like a lifelong passion for me. And in 2012, I started with children's books. So that was my first introduction to publishing. And I started off with self-publishing. Um, Tried to go through the traditional way, but there were roadblocks. So I went that way. Life kind of happened, put it on pause, and came back. And I'm recently finishing a book called Happily Ever After. It's an anthology about love and marriage without the fairy tale ending. And I'm really excited about it. It drops May 16th. So that's my latest project and working on different things coming up soon.
Awesome. That sounds exciting. Like there's many more works in the works.
Absolutely.
I'm loving author life as well. I just like learned my publishing journey last year myself, and it took so long. It was like the whole journey between, okay, I have this idea, and then how can I get it to tangible form? And for whatever reason, last year I finally learned the process of self-publishing, and since then, I just kept going, and I'm like, as long as I can do it, I want to do it. I'm excited about it as well. So I know a little bit about I guess how you could feel as an author to publish your works and whatnot. Even if it is the non-traditional self-published route. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
happy for that. I think that's a great you know, um, tool, especially these days. So
Yeah.
glad
And so thank you. And that's the thing. These days, there's so many avenues and like publishing the non-traditional way is legit. So much so that I approached it this time as a publisher, like an indie publisher. So I'm working with other people to help them get their stories out. So it's it's legit, and they have so many different platforms and resources and to help self-publish authors, indie publishers to distribute globally. So it's a great adventure, just kind of seeing you know how your ideas and your vision and what you want to say, your story, come to fruition and see it in print. It's dope.
yes, yes. I know for me, it's also the not just the accomplishment aspect, but then not letting anything stand in your way. Because I think back in the day, you did have to go through a certain process. You had to wait for somebody to open the door for you to publish your book or whatever the case is. Now it's like, you don't have to wait for that per se. It's, um, there are these avenues and things now that we have access to help you, get your idea out there without going through all the loops and all of that. So I mean,
Exactly.
it's a blessing, man. I know that technology can seem to be a blessing and a curse sometimes because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
all the things that obviously you get more access to a lot of different things, but the things like that and things that can actually be used for good or whatever the case is. I mean, I think it's a blessing getting it. So yeah, man, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you. We're creating our own lanes. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Yes, I mean, I thank God every day because I just be like, um, using the podcast platforms, using the video platforms, using like all these things. Somebody else put these things in place, and who knows what they put it in place for. Maybe they didn't want to use it for good or whatever the case is. I don't know, but I thank God for them, to unknowingly bless me by putting these things in place for, access for people to be able to use and whatnot. So yes, I guess it's all about what you do with different things, right? Blessing
Yeah.
or, however you look at it and stuff. So how many books have you published thus far then?
2. I have 2 under my belt. As far as like tangible books, I've done other published works online through participating in other things, short stories, blogs, and things like that. So my writing kind of encompasses a lot of different things.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So I know you were saying so you're working on an anthology now.
That one's complete. It's just released. It's going to be released May 16th. So just working with distribution and things like that. So yeah. The next work that I'm working on is an autobiography. So that's what I'm that's what's in the oven right now.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for the exclusive, you know what I'm saying? A little sneak peek into what you got going on and coming and whatnot. I'm sure everyone's gonna be looking forward to that as well. So if I'm understanding correctly, so the anthology would be multiple authors.
So yes, I'm working with 2 other authors.
Okay.
And with an anthology, it's kind of, chicken soup for the soul, right? It's kind of that's the format of an anthology, and we came together. The 3 of us, what we have in common is our passion for writing, and we're all 3 of us are divorcees. So for this project, we're like, we wanted to work on something together, and it's like this is our common ground. And we were kind of like, we know so many people who have gone through this, and it's not, even though it's, 50% of marriages, unfortunately, end that way. So, and not all of them end that way either. Sometimes people go through a difficult time. And in the book, we do have people who were on the brink, but they decided not to. So we wanted to create this collection of stories, people sharing their journey, and where there is, people sharing their stories, there's connection. And as humans, we're innately wanting to connect with one another. So we thought that we can create this discussion on a larger scale. And so we have a collection of different writers. So everyone who participated, this is their first published, now they are a published writer. So it's giving the opportunity for others to, see their story in print. And I'm so enthused about being a part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so are you the one that's kind of spearheaded it, or I know you said it was 3 of you all?
Yeah. Okay. So this is my team. This is the indie publishing team. We are spearheading it. What we did was, our portion of the book was kind of like reflecting on our stories and kind of describing the idea behind the questions that we asked the writers, because it's almost like a mini interview with different people, and we made a collection of it and kind of shared our views of what we got from their story, and put it all together and created this project.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. Well, I was going to say that there's so much power in sharing your testimony and having different people sharing different perspectives, even if it is the common conversation of divorce, as you were saying. But like you said, different people will experience it different ways.
Absolutely.
Some were able to reconcile, some may not have, and so it'll be good, I think, for people to see that and see, and I guess relate to whoever's story most resonate with them and whatever their current situation is.
No, it's just very interesting. as you know, I've read it over and over again, of course, with editing and things like that, but just seeing everyone else's perspective and what they've gone through and the common pieces that kind of come together with people going on this journey that you can resonate with and sort of validate your feelings, or just like, I noticed a lot of self-reflection from everyone. So I thought that that was a really amazing, part of doing this project.
Yeah, definitely. I know when it comes to relationships and everything like that, I want to say that's probably one of the most difficult things to point out the different things that we could have done, or what we could improve on, or whatever the case is. I think looking at ourselves a lot of the time is it's easier to just point at someone else, right, and be like, oh, well, I see what that person what did, or whatever the case is. So that is good if you're saying the majority of people had like these moments of self reflection. Am I understanding that correct?
Yeah, in a major way. We were like, while editing, we're really looking at that, like, it's not about like bashing your ex or anything like that. Everybody really like took an introspection as to, you know, what what took place and how they evolved and how they became better, and better for having going through these painful processes, and how they overcome. And that was the premise. Like, what we wanted to give the reader is the ability to take accountability for your future. Like, something happened, it was hard, painful, it wasn't what you anticipated, but okay, now what? Like, now what's your new happily ever after?
I was wondering. So, I mean, I'm sure you've shared, some of your story in this as well, in regards to
Absolutely.
and everything. And so, I guess with that being said, like, well, that this is God, Sex, and Love. It is, I guess technically a Christian program and everything like
Yeah.
that. And there's a certain, uh, I guess, stigma when it comes to this idea of divorce and whatnot. So, like, is that something that you agree with? And then also, like, how does that balance for you, like, from your experience, and also, I guess belief.
Yeah, I was raised, in a Christian home. My faith is something that's very important to me. And I talk about this in the book, where I was told scripture, like, God hates divorce, and how difficult that was for me as a person of faith to go through something like that. You almost feel like you have a scarlet letter, because it's like, difficulty. Going to church was hard because church is such a family, um, institution. So here I am, divorced. It's like, I don't belong here. And I think sometimes some churches don't know how to minister to people going through that situation. And there's some that do. It was just my experience where I didn't, so it was challenging. But I did find people, churches who did have support in that regard. I think a lot of the stories in the book, people talk about their faith and, how that helped them. For me, it was a challenge. I think it sort of kept me in a place of shame for a while. But then as I, talked about it openly and got that sort of support and talk about grace, and, I think going through some of those difficult times to sort of see things happen in my life where I still felt like, God was still there with me. And it wasn't like, you've gone through this or you've done this and I don't, want you. I still felt that strong sense of love, and still like that hand of God directing me in life. So I think, and I got through some of the most difficult times through prayer. And so, yeah, I think it's hard, not only from a sense of, feeling like a personal, sometimes personal failure. There's also that like spiritual aspect of like, I have to stay because, what's in the Bible and what the church was saying. But there are also elements where I was validated also through, a pastor where it's like, well, there's also this and this and that that can't be, within what God says marriage should be. So that's kind of the dichotomy of me processing my faith and divorce and being single, and the challenges of being single, and faith and things like that.
Yes, look, don't get me started on the being single thing, because that's my jam right there. Like, that's what my book's about, because that was a struggle for me those days. Yeah.
It's
Well, we
a
could
struggle.
talk about it if you want to.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Yes. Well, I'm curious. This is just me being curious right now. You tell me if this is TMI. So, um, well, I guess one, how long ago was your divorce, and then are you dating now, or like where are you now?
So 2014, so almost 8 years. um I'm not currently dating. I have been on the dating scene. I was married very young, so I'm we met when I was 15, and I was in that relationship until I was 30. So a 30-year-old who's never been dating, I didn't know what I was doing.
It's something else these days, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that was hard. I did some online dating. Um, yeah, it was interesting, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned, what it's like to interact with other people, and it was challenging, but I feel more confident about it. And when I'm ready, I'm kind of focusing on some of, the things I have on my plate, but and then you bring kids into it and how to balance all of that, and
Yeah.
so it's I don't know, just
I,
kind of,
I understand that it's a process. Like I said, I had a tough time with being single, because I just was always looking. I was like, where is my husband? Like, where is he? Is he over here? Is he over there? Like, where is he? And all these different things during that time. So I can't imagine, like, starting over again. Like you say, you met your then husband, when you were young, and then now to launch back into this dating world is a totally, you know, uh,
yeah,
it's unique. So I'll be praying for you, sis.
to
Like, if
say
that's
the
something
least.
prior, like getting married again and whatnot, then we're gonna be praying for you about that, because I understand it is I'm sure it's probably even more difficult than it was when I was going through my what I call the cultivation period.
Cultivation, I like that. Had
Yeah.
to do some like working on yourself. I get it.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think that was the beautiful thing about that's why I said what I said earlier about that working on yourself part, because um I mean, and I don't know, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like women that I've come across over the years, like maybe friends, whatever the case is, and I'm not sitting here acting like I'm perfect. I'm not perfect by any means, and or anything like that. But I guess I'm just saying, when I make observations, I would say what I did back in my single days was, I did, take that time to kind of be like, okay, Miracle, you don't want you really want marriage, but you're not operating like you want marriage, and just like really nitpicking myself to a point where it's like, how are you going to get to the place where you want to be when you're not doing the things that reflect that, and just all of that, things that that I was doing at that time. And I just feel like sometimes people didn't do that, or they're not willing to do that. They kind of just come from the perspective of like, either this is what I am, or I don't need to change, or whatever, but then they expect so much from their partner. Like, have you observed that, or is that just me?
Well, just kind of not having reciprocal expectations, kind of.
Yeah, like kind of like I guess wanted to be accepted for whatever they are in that moment, like no growth, no anything, like not feeling as if they need to change anything, right? But then um if they're with someone else, they have all the expectations of like what they should be to them, and stuff. And it's just like, but okay, well, where's the compromises? Because at some point there's going to be some type of give and take, especially in a relationship, two different people. They have to
Yeah.
compromise in some aspects. So it's like, I don't know. I felt like at that time, one of the things that I did that I hope to share with other people in my book and everything else is like, yeah, that's that time for you and God and for him to work on you to make you who he wants you to be, to ultimately, hopefully get you to the place where you want to be in regards to relationships and stuff. Um, but I don't know. I guess I just came across people that weren't willing to change, which I feel like
Mhm.
is something that the Bible is asking us to do. It's asking us to, you know, take up our cross and follow God, follow God and do his will, not just, I don't know. Maybe I'm kidding
No,
around.
I totally get what you're saying. I think that's the challenge in most relationships, if any, you know, dynamic, because it's always easier to look at what somebody else is doing. I think as we mature and really, if we really desire, be better, then you can take that time and really be self-reflective and look at like how, because it doesn't feel good to necessarily, you know, for someone to point out some things where you need to grow. But I think relationships are where you can become your best self because you have somebody there with you, like that you might need to work on that. And it is much easier to look and say like, this person should do da 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 da. But yeah, like you said though, you have to be willing to do that, to do the work. And I think that's a part of coming out of divorce and taking the time to do the work and work on yourself. But sometimes, people get lonely and they just kind of they just want companionship. You just want somebody to talk to. Sometimes you're in a rush to replace what you had, and you don't necessarily do the work. And then to me, it's a great opportunity to evaluate where you're going in life and who are you, because after that, you're not the same. So you get to decide what you want to be at that point. So you have to look at this stuff and be willing to change if you want something different, because obviously whatever was going on didn't work. So something else needs to change.
Exactly. So you and your co-authors, are you all like very close friends, or did you guys how did you all meet?
So one is my cousin, and one is my best friend. So yes, we're close.
Yeah. Tight knit.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Because well, you just never know. Sometimes you could meet people and maybe they're like a college friend, or maybe it's like a coworker or something, and then you find that connection and want to work on something. So I don't know, that just randomly, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, and I would in the future, love to connect with other authors and do work. This was fun. Like writing a book by yourself is cool. I love writing, it's my passion. But being able to work with people, come together, they're very, very intelligent, brilliant women. So just having these discussions about this was like, I felt like we grew from doing this project. So it was cool.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure y'all gonna have many, many more. Who knows? Maybe some little women's conferences. I don't know. I'm not saying I know anything, but
Maybe some podcasts.
maybe. Yeah, man. I can see it going far. Y'all definitely are welcome to come here as well. If you tell the ladies and
Yes, I did mention it. Yeah, I would love that.
yeah,
Can have a panel discussion.
exact girl chat about it and whatnot. Because actually there was another lady I spoke with that was writing from the angle of divorce as well. So who knows? Maybe we can get a whole thing together and whatnot.
Yeah, that would be good. Like a topic discussion, and having a bunch of people chime in. And that's really what our book is about, is having that discussion like on a larger scale. So I'm down for it. You just tell me when to come back.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I mean, I guess again, there's just like I said a minute ago, there's just so much power in the testimony, and I believe that that it's important for us to have these conversations. I know it might be tough, right? You guys are sharing your life, you're sharing things you went through, and maybe even some hurtful things. I don't know y'all's individual stories and whatnot, but it could be some things that hurt you all along the way. But being able to talk about those things and put it out in the open in a way where hopefully it can help other people that may be going through something similar or might be on their way that way or whatever the case is. I just think there's really so much power in that. So I just really commend people that just go ahead and step out on faith and just do those things that I feel like God is leading us to do ultimately. So,
Yes.
please tell the other ladies I said congratulations as well. And, thank you
Thank
all
you.
for walking in the way that, I feel like the Lord is still telling you how to go. Because, these are tough conversations, but we got to have them. Like, especially as Christians, I feel like we need to be having these conversations and stuff. So,
Make it real. Like it's important to do that.
I mean, you said this that earlier. You said like what 50% of marriages,
That's the
and
statistic.
so that I mean, goodness, that half. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. So yeah, we need to be having these conversations. I know it's now I know what the Bible says in regards to like there's only one specific reason for divorce technically. I
Hmm.
mean, if I'm not understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misunderstanding it, but and I know that gets kind of touchy and difficult when you think about other aspects like abuse and everything like that, because it doesn't necessarily mention that, as a
Hmm.
not say legit reason, but something like that. And so I don't know, I've heard so many different things in regards to, maybe some pastors' perspectives of different things and whatnot. Um, I don't know how much detail you want to go into, like your journey of anything like that. Hopefully, you didn't experience anything like that. I'm just going forward.
Well, so the thing is, that does get really, really tough when you start, infidelity, we all know, right?
Yeah.
But then when you start talking about some of those other things, like you said, abuse and it's like trying to understand what's the position on that, because it's like, you hear of those awful stories that end up, that could be really, really bad. So, like where do you, and that, I think that's the what I said was the missing link behind, having the church support people in those situations. Like how do you reach people in that point? How do you you know if there is a woman that is going through that, how do you support her?
Yeah.
So I guess that's a question for maybe a pastor. I am not a pastor.
I, I feel you. Yeah, yeah. I heard one say about. I mean, I guess that would be the time for separation or something like that. Um, but still, I don't know if that. I think he was saying like that still didn't mean divorce. So I don't know. Like, I mean, by the grace of God, I haven't been in that type of situation. I definitely pray for people that are in that type of situation because I'm sure it's tough. And but then I don't know, because I also heard a minister say something along the lines of like, it like, did God bring that union together? Like, because if he wasn't
Yeah,
bringing it from the beginning, then technically,
right.
you know, uh, you know, and everything like that. So that could be not say a loophole, but could be that grace, right? That mercy and grace and whatnot. So, um, whatever the situation may be and whatever the cause may be, we pray for people in those situations. And like I said, I thank you and the other ladies for stepping out and approaching this conversation and creating this book. So where can we find the book when it comes out and everything like that?
So you can find it at barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com. It'll be available on the publishing website, fifthstreetpub.com. Also, Fifth Street Publishing Inc. on Instagram and Facebook. There'll be links there for anyone that's interested in buying.
Awesome, awesome. And then you and your social media and everything like that, go ahead and where can we
Um, myself, just one X on Instagram. You can also find me, the publishing company on Facebook as well, Fifth Street Publishing.
Yes, ma'am. Great, great, great. Is there anything else you would like to share with us today before you go?
No, I just would like to thank you for having me. It's been a great conversation. I hope that we're gonna wait for that group discussion, and I would love to come back.
Awesome. Yes, well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. And yes, you're welcome back anytime. We're going to get that thing together.
Miracle Sam's, let's go.
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you to Miss Xavia Jones for joining us tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation. Check her out in her endeavors. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good night.